Okay, so now let's talk about the overview and the shortcuts that you have for Photoshop. Now, again, we are operating on Photoshop. We've just everything should be updated. So we have Adobe Photoshop CC, which is for the Creative Cloud. Let's talk about the overview of this. So on the right side, let's start with that just real briefly. So start on the right side just real quickly. We do have our layers. We have our backgrounds, and that's essentially just a layer that you could, in a sense, just rename. But what we could do down here is just hit a plus, the plus button, and that's going to create a new layer. So we could add as many as we want. And first command is going to be Command Z, and that will bring us back to our previous. That's going to bring us back if we made a mistake. So again, plus, that'll create a new layer. And then within that layer, we could say, take this image. We could copy that, Command copy, go to this layer, and then paste. So now, if we hide that, our new layer has this. So we could, in a sense, just keep Command V and then keep pasting everything. So you can do Command C to Command copy and then start doing that. So let's hit Command Z, bring it back. And again, I'm going to try to do my best to slow down so that you guys know exactly what's going on. So this lock button is just how you lock your project. So if you double click, you can do more things in there. You can add drop shadows, color overlays, and we'll get into that a little bit after. So, but the main tools here again are just turning your layers on and off, knowing where they're at. And then because this is locked, let's just double click that, and we could rename this as, our backdrop again. So basically we have our layer one. This is where a photo is. So again, if we go to the top left, we just drag that wherever we want. If you hit Command T, and again, we're going to add what it will be in terms of for Windows as well, just to give you an idea. So one quick little trick is when you hit if you touch the move tool, and then if you hit Command T, that's going to give you the option to change the size and to move things over. If you don't hit Shift, it's going to properly keep the aesthetic of the image. So if you hit Shift and you start moving things side to side, it's going to get warped. So essentially, if you're moving vertically, or if you're moving horizontally, so if you're basically going up or down or side to side, you're going to stretch the image and it's going to look pretty weird. So Command Z will bring it back to its original state, which is there. So again, if you just change the size without touching Shift, so see if I touch Shift here, it gets a little wonky. Don't hit Shift, because if you do so, you're gonna adjust the image and warp it, and you may not want that. So to keep the proper aesthetic, and again, it does a beautiful job at showing us where the center of everything is. So that's how you do that. That's probably one of the most important shortcuts. Command T to just make sure you're on the layer, obviously, in the image. Command T, and it'll give you that option. So what I do is I just click away at a spot, and that'll get me out of that. Now the next one is going to be just your Marquee tool. So you could drag over this image, and then again, if we're on the layer, so we're gonna just drag over, say half of the image. So now within that image, we could, for example, go to like an adjustment and then only adjust what is in that particular spot. So if I change the brightness, notice how half of the image, the brightness is changing. So I could bring it up or down. Say for this, I do like 400. Oh, it's gonna exceed the values that we're allowed to do. But anyways, once we change the brightness, you can see that if we hit OK and then click away, all this image got distorted. So let's Command Z, go back, bring it back to normal. So again, we could hit Command plus to zoom, And say I just want to make this one little area bigger, we could just drag over this. Make sure on the layer it is selected. Okay, so you can see it. You go to image, adjust, say brightness, which we'll talk about a little bit after as well. And then you can manipulate the image in that sense. So we'll hit cancel, zoom back out. But that's going to be the rectangular marquee tool.